to the marketing team like that.
And it's primarily about how do we look at cross cloud integration. It's primarily between Salesforce CRM. It could be sales, service, community with marketing cloud. Okay, uh, so I'll quickly go in. So the main way that you actually look at the integrating between the various clouds such as the CRM clouds with marketing is like using the Marketing Cloud Connect. Now this is a package that has been provided by Salesforce, which you have to install, and then it actually leverages API communications between the two sites, as you can see from that. Okay, the package installation, you will actually do it on the specific CRM instance. Okay, and then you will use connected app authentication to actually leverage the communication between the two sites. Okay, we'll go a little more detail into in some of the future slides on this. Okay, and if you have questions do write it down, so we'll have a Q&A at the towards the end of it, so we'll definitely hope to cover the questions that you may have. Okay. And as part of the cross cloud communication, the various ways that you can actually look at the data coming in is one is you can see the data from CRM that can actually flow in from sales and service cloud into marketing cloud. And once you have CRM data, then you can use that for sending out marketing communications. Like now it's more personalized. So nowadays, if somebody sends you an email, and if it's just hi, like your first name, it's more personalized, right? Rather instead hello customer, it doesn't sound personalized, so you would rather somebody has got more personal details about you, somebody you have purchased something and they're sending you something, you feel your communication should be more personalized, right? So for that is it's quite important, right? So being getting the customer data into marketing cloud and then leveraging that, right? Now marketing cloud can still go ahead and function without having the data from CRM. Okay, you can still bring in data from external systems. Let's say you are having an external database where you are having customer data. Okay, but in most companies today you have a CRM already, and most of them probably might have Salesforce or MS CRM. One of these tools might be there, so it's always preferable that you try to bring in data. If you already have it in CRM, it's better to bring that in and then leverage that, right? Why do you want to duplicate and go and get customer data again, create it in some other source? Okay. Journeys, if you're familiar with that, is like something that we have in marketing cloud, is for like one-to-one customer engagement. So you can actually once you have customer data from sales, service, or community, you can actually inject them into journeys, meaning it's a path that customer will follow, and then you can have multiple things done as part of the journey. You can actually send them a communication. Depending on how they engage, you can actually put them into different path, etc. Okay. And then from within sales and service cloud as well, you can actually go ahead and send out emails. So uh, earlier we were thinking like marketing cloud emails can only be done through the marketing system, like it's a Salesforce marketing cloud, right? But that's not true. When you have marketing cloud connect, you actually have the power to send out emails from the CRM system itself. Okay, but not full capability, somewhat a smaller capability, which the sales teams can use, like sales or service, they can go ahead and definitely use from the CRM instance. They can actually go ahead and email out. Okay. uh, and the next two slides are by basically just summarizing what I just said. It shows the flow of how you can actually send the data from these platforms into marketing cloud, and then you can personalize the message out, and the journeys as well. So journeys, as you can see, it's two ways. Okay, the data that you actually get from CRM, okay, will actually trigger whenever a new, let's say for a new customer is actually, a contact is added to Sales Cloud. Okay. Then if you want anytime a new contact comes in, if you want them to go through a welcome journey, okay, it will get triggered. It will trigger into the marketing cloud system. It will actually go through the journey, etc. And as part of the journey, if you want to update something back on their contact record, that is possible. Okay, even for service, let's say a case was open. Okay, and then if you want that particular person to be injected in, and then if you want something to be updated back to the case, or an opportunity to be open, all those things are possible from within this marketing cloud integration. Okay. Okay, so we'll look at a little bit on org configuration. So those of you are familiar with marketing cloud, you probably already know that there is different types of marketing cloud. We look at the enterprise level one because that is a more complicated one. Where enterprise, you have like enterprise 2.2, you have the enterprise view, which is the parent org, and you have like child business units under it, right? Now, if you are looking at like single org configuration, what that means is you can connect one CRM org to one marketing cloud instance, right? And this is mostly the usual default way that usually the marketing connections are done, CRM connections are done, and it actually connects on the enterprise level. And what happens is like any data that you all share with the enterprise level is getting inherited and shared down. Like so for instance, if you have synchronized data coming in, which we will look at later, you will see like it doesn't get created at the child BU directly. Like rather you will see like the copy of that being replicated in the child BUs. Okay, but primarily everything is actually happening on the enterprise BU level. You can actually share the additional data if you want with the child BUs. Okay. But in multi-org, this is something you have to specifically go and request support team to actually enable for your org. Okay, in which case, what happens is like each BU that you have, like even the parent is also a BU, so BU is business unit. Each business unit can independently connect to a CRM instance. Okay, for instance, this case, you will see like the parent is connected to one sales cloud. The next two are connected to a different sales cloud, or like the third one is connected to a third instance of a sales cloud, right? Or it could be even service. It doesn't matter. Like so it could be all different instances that you have, right? So they do not have any connectivity, like dependency between each other's BUs on this particular case. Okay, but something like some cases you will have like companies where you have multiple marketing cloud accounts. For instance, in this case, I might have like two different marketing cloud accounts with multiple BUs. Okay, and they can also connect to like the CRM instances. But one thing you should know is you cannot have one CRM instance connecting to two different marketing accounts. Okay, for instance, this blue color sales cloud instance that you see here, it cannot connect to marketing cloud on the left and the right. It can only connect to any one of the instances. You can still connect one marketing cloud to two different BUs. That is fine. Okay, so but the other way is not possible. You cannot connect one BU to two different sales cloud instance or CRM instances. It can only take in any one CRM instance at a time. Okay, so these things you need to like be very careful. You need to know how do you actually connect different configurations for marketing cloud with CRM instances. Any questions on the org configurations before I move forward?
Can we pass the data between the child BUs?
You can when you say pass with data between, like you can actually share the data. Like they have their own individual data sets. Like the reason is like so in this particular case, you will use like where you have two different ones. If you're using the same user, like this, you will have a system user that you will be using here. If you use the same user, then if you're replicating data in this business unit, it will get replicated in this unit as well. In some cases, people want that. They want like I want two business units replicating data as similar in from the same CRM instance. Sometimes they will say, no, I wanted to connect to the same CRM instance, but whatever I'm doing it for this business unit should not be replicated to here. In which case you need to have two different users, system users that you will use for connecting. Okay, you can create multiple user licenses here, and you can say like system user A is for this business unit, system user B is for this business unit. Okay, so you can connect that way. But if you use the same one, then let's say you're syncing the contact data here, automatically that syncing the contact data will also get synced to this business unit. But then if you're having data here and here, like depend, let's say for these two business units, unless and until you share the specific data, it doesn't get shared. They have their own independent processing and data, everything like that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sibu, Anuj here. So, in which scenario we need like multiple BUs connected with the same type of CRM? Like, can you please give some examples? It will be more clear. Like, in which scenario we needed two BUs to connect it to one CRM?
For instance, like let's say I have two different units, like let's say like two geography regions, okay, or two different states. For let's say Malaysia, for instance, okay, or like Malaysia and Singapore, two APAC countries that we are operating in, okay. But our CRM is actually primarily for APAC. Okay, think of that way. Okay, but our marketing cloud, we have two different BUs. Like one is actually targeting Malaysia customers, the other one is targeting Singapore customers. Okay, so what we can do is like our contact data, everything, CRM data, they are not going to have like, we'll have one CRM org for Malaysia, one CRM org for Singapore, right? They might be having like, one CRM org for the global or even for APAC as such. Okay, so then we need to like, maybe pull in data specifically for Malaysia for the marketing cloud for Malaysia. Okay, in which case I will create two different users in that CRM instance, one for Malaysia and one for Singapore. And using the Malaysia user in the Sales Cloud instance, I will pull the data specifically that I want for the Malaysia business unit. Okay, I will sync those contacts, leads, whatever I need, and the other one for the Singapore one as well. Just an example. Okay.
Okay. So from the CRM side, we can specify the data, like which is going to which BU.
No, it's the other way around. You have to specify that in the marketing cloud what data you want to pull.
Okay.
Which I'll show you later, like, in when how do you use that using synchronized, how you actually connect when you connect, and what is the data that you can pull in. It will show you all the different types of objects that you have, what data that you can bring in as well.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. So multi-org, usually, like, some questions that people ask is like, how can I activate it? Like I said, you have to, it doesn't come by default. You have to raise a case with the support team. And once you enable it, you cannot disable it. Okay, so that is one thing, like, as strategy consultants, when you go in for any engagement, if somebody asks you like, no, okay, can we do it? Yeah, you can say you can do it, but then don't come back and say that, no, I need to go back to the old structure. It's not possible. Okay, and then can you, if you're, let's say you are having single org, can I upgrade it? Yes, you can. Okay, so the only thing is, like, once it is like I said, from a single org, everything is now on the enterprise BU level. So you have to go disconnect the existing synchronizations, everything that you have, any jobs that is running, like journeys and all that you have. Disconnect all that, ensure no other syncing is happening right now. Then go ahead and upgrade it to multi-org, and then do the reset up with the new orgs with the BUs that you have. Okay. Okay, so quickly looking at Marketing Cloud Connect setup, like you can see, there's actually like quite a content here. If you go to the documentation available on Marketing Cloud, they will walk you through, like, step by step, like, what all you need to do. So there's many steps that we have in that is actually under the Salesforce CRM. Like, if it is very, people usually do think like, okay, you have to do a lot of stuff in both the orgs. What I have found out is, like, that much of the stuff that you need to configure, even the package installation, you will have to do it on the Salesforce instance, right? And then you have to go change the page layout for users and the contact lead objects. You have to configure some of that, and then you have to set up connected app permission sets, and then you have to launch all those. Okay. In the Marketing Cloud, it's very simple. Like, once you have done majority of these and you have set up like the system users and everything, you just need to have an API user, like, a Marketing Cloud API user for the integration. And then you have to, like, map it to that particular, you have to click on integrate, and you have to map it to the Salesforce instance. So ensure, like, both the systems are like, you have logged into both the systems at the same time. Don't log into another Salesforce instance. Otherwise, what will happen is when you click on here, it will go to that other instance. Okay. So those things are mentioned as part of the documentation. And what they will say is, like, you need to have this, the API user is the one that is actually used for majority of, like, the authentication. The most of the system level data transmissions, everything happens using those two user levels. Okay. You can have admin user, or you can have even regular users where the normal data is actually being sent. For instance, once we set up, like, the admin level users to, like, do the handshake and all the system level things, I can come and add you guys, like, as users on the Marketing Cloud instance and in Salesforce, like, instance as well. Now there should be a one-to-one mapping, so that is important. Okay, so let me see if I can show you this 1 second. So in Marketing Cloud, when you come in, you under setup, if you go, you will see use the connectivity here under Salesforce integration. So you will see, like, that it is actually being connected to a Salesforce org. Okay, it's being connected, and this is the system user that we are connecting to. Okay, but then if I actually go and actually have other systems, the users that are actually connecting, if I go to my own user profile, I will see that it is actually connected to another user on the what do you call, on the CRM side. So for every user that is expecting to actually connect with Salesforce, okay, you need to have a one-to-one mapping. Like I need to have another user with my credentials or similar to like who I am going to be mapped to on the CRM side. So if I have like a user in a marketing cloud called Shibu Abraham, like in Sales Cloud also, I will expect to have a Shibu Abraham user login, and then I will say that is the user I need to connect with, and that user should be enabled. Like there is a user the couple of that will get enabled at this page layout configure. This is for my things you enable. Okay, this is important. Okay, and the users on the CRM side, they will get added to the, you have to get them added to the connected app so that the authentication and all goes in seamlessly. Okay. For those details, you can actually refer to like details on documentation, and then once we have people like going through the training and all, you can see like you can get access to the Sales Cloud sandbox org that we have, and then you can try that like connecting with Marketing Cloud as well. Okay. Now, main thing that we need to know when you are doing the cross cloud integration. In Marketing Cloud, we usually like store subscribers or contacts, like especially for email, we use a subscriber key, right? So in this particular case, you can use like any unique key that you want for subscriber key. The recommendation is for cross cloud, especially when you're bringing in contacts and leads, is to use the Salesforce 18-digit ID. Okay, the 18-character ID is the GUID is what you need to use, and that is primarily for the contact or lead, because this is usually used by Marketing Cloud for like sending like the automation jobs, and then for sending out tracking data and all that. It uses that particular, automatically uses that for synchronization and all that. Okay, even when you have person contacts, person accounts enabled, you will think like, okay, person account is a single person, so why can't I use the account ID? No, you will have to have it on the contact on the person account. So that is what it actually looks for. Okay. Scope by user and non-scope by user is something you will come across when you try to do the integration. One thing that you need to know about this particular feature is, if you check scope by user, what it actually means is like, it will look at the, it's kind of like, when you run reports in CRM, right? Who is the running user, right? Or who's the person who's actually invoking the report. Based on his credentials and his access rights only, you will show the data. Same thing. So scope by user primarily is like, if you check this one, then it depends upon the person's access, like, in CRM, and your CRM user correspondingly, what access he has, that is the data that you will get to see. For instance, if I am mapping from Marketing Cloud to a sales user in CRM, depending on what is that user's access to see the accounts and all that, only those kind of contact data and lead data and all is what I would see. Now, probably if it is restricted access, I will not be able to see much of the data, right? Non-scope by user is like, it doesn't look by user by automatically, because it is coming using the API, the user, the system level, all the data will be coming in, right? Now, where you need to be careful with using scope by users, if you enable this, what you need to understand is when you're using automation jobs, like system level jobs, that they actually use the system level user. So those actually run, they will actually bring in all the data. Okay, but if you manually run a report or something like that and try to send to a report, that data set will be different from what automated jobs will actually do. So there will always be a difference between the two. So you have to be very careful on whenever you enable scope by user. This is only set at one time. When you actually do the integration, that is when you set it. Okay, so for our case, we have actually set it non-scope by user. So if you need to do any filtering, you can actually do it when you bring in the data, like using during synchronization. Okay, connected app, like I mentioned, is something that is new, that has been enabled over the last few months. So they've upgraded Marketing Cloud to use connected app authentication, so that you don't have to like store your username, password, and all for authentication. And the other advantage is like the SOAP and REST API calls between the two does not count against your limits. Okay, but they're saying like the bulk login calls, like if you have any, those will actually still be counted depending upon the usage that you have. Okay. Contact data mapping, like I said earlier, when the contact is usually coming in like from the CRM side, like everything, whatever data that we are bringing in from CRM, primarily at the end of the day, in marketing we are looking at to map it to a contact, right? So marketing, we are all looking, the central model is a contact, because that is the customer that you want to contact, you want to market out to, right? So ideally for anything to do with CRM, we would look at using the lead ID or the contact ID, okay, and it would somehow map to any one of those two when you're bringing in as part of the contact into the marketing cloud, okay. And where we usually use the contact key, like I was saying earlier, Salesforce automatically, the marketing cloud automatically uses this by default. So it's preferred that you use that. Otherwise, you have to go and do set up custom ways of actually figuring out to do some of these things. This is anyway supported directly by marketing cloud. It's always recommended you use the lead or the contact ID. So it's when you want to do any Salesforce report or campaign from CRM or marketing cloud. So you can actually, if you have a report or a campaign created in Salesforce CRM, you can send email to that particular report or a campaign from both either the CRM or marketing cloud, which we will look at shortly. We will also explore what is the Salesforce data extension and how do you send to that. Okay, the contact framework, like I said, this is the primary model within marketing cloud of how you actually store contacts. Okay, so whenever a contact is brought into marketing cloud, it is actually registered with the contact framework, using our attribute library, attribute groups and all that. Okay, journey builder, like I said, this is triggered, it will need to know okay, when that data is coming in from a contact or a lead, if that is being injected in, it needs that ID to actually send data back to them. Okay? Similarly for tracking data, so we'll look at few of these use cases shortly later. I'll show you that in the system. So looking at data integration, this is the outbound flow. Okay, so there's two ways that we look at. One is the outbound and the inbound. The outbound flow basically is when you send a marketing cloud email. Okay, now when I say send a marketing cloud email, the email is actually stored in marketing cloud. In CRM also you can create emails of your own, right? As part of sales cloud, service cloud, you have email templates and all you can create. That is different. We're not talking about any of those here. We're talking purely an actual marketing email. Okay, so these you can actually you create in marketing cloud using content builder and all that. Okay, now how do I actually send out an email to a customer using those templates and all that that marketing team has created for us? There are multiple ways you can do it. You can send it directly from CRM. Like I said, sales users can access a screen in marketing in CRM, sales cloud or service cloud. They can go in and they can send it from there. Okay, which I'll show you shortly. A journey email, so within a journey builder, you can have an say invoke and marketing cloud and send it out. Okay, and using the and all these are actually using Salesforce data. Okay, not the regular marketing cloud data, but Salesforce data. And then there's a Salesforce send as well. So this also I will show you how to create a Salesforce send and send that out. So multiple ways you can send out a marketing cloud email. It goes out to subscribers, and once the subscriber takes some action on it, the marketing cloud, then what it does is this is called tracking data. Okay, so anything to do with opens, clicks, bounce, unsubscribe. Okay, so these are all tracking data based on what the email that you just sent. Marketing cloud will then send the data back to sales cloud, so CRM, because the data that you're using in CRM or journey or the marketing cloud, these are all Salesforce data. It came from CRM, right? So it originated from CRM. You send the lead or contact details to them and said, okay, now send out the marketing cloud email. Once it goes out, you need to know in sales cloud, okay, did the user end of the day, did he open the email? Okay, or did he unsubscribe? So those data, it should not just remain in marketing cloud. You can send that data back to lead or contact the records in sales cloud. Okay, but you cannot update data back onto the lead or contact record, going and saying, okay, update this particular field or additional things using the direct marketing cloud connect way. Okay, the only thing that it does is it will use the data from CRM in marketing cloud for personalization and sending out emails. The data that gets sent back to CRM is only going to be tracking data. So this is very important. Okay, don't expect it to go and create objects and do other things. The way that it can do that is through a journey, which we will look at later. Okay, so that is a different case. But ideally, the flow is if you send out a marketing cloud email, either if it's because of triggering from a CRM data, Okay, the data that gets sent back to CRM is the tracking data. Okay. Now, inbound data objects is like, when the data comes in from CRM to Marketing Cloud, right? Okay, where do we now keep this data? Okay, so there are three things you need to know. One is like, the data would come in if you will keep it in a Salesforce data extension. And people who do not know data extensions, it's nothing but a SQL table. Okay, it's called in Marketing Cloud, data storage that is similar to a SQL table is called data extension. Okay, you can go create a data extension. You can actually name it as fields. I mean, you can name it with like number of fields and data attributes and all that. So that is called a data extension. And normally we will have like something called standard data extension, like to store data and use for like sending keeping customer data and then sending emails based on that. Okay, but then we have a couple of extra data extensions that are getting created because of this CRM connection. Okay, so one is called Salesforce data extension and the other one is synchronized data extension. And then we will have one more additional one which gets created when you use Salesforce data with as an entry event for journeys. Okay, so we look at all these three as well in the next few slides. Okay, so Salesforce data extension, did I lose anybody? Okay, people are there. Okay, so Salesforce data extension is primarily like when you can actually go and manually create it, or you can import using the Salesforce reporter campaign. This one is not like a synchronized data. Okay, it's like you can go ahead and like import a report, or you can import object data from Salesforce, and then you can create the data extension. Okay, but this data extension is what is actually used for sending tracking data back to CRM. Okay, so for that, if you want the data to be sent back to CRM, you need to have either a lead or contact record ID on those particular records. Okay, you can bring in other data, but if you don't have it mapped to a lead or contact record, it will not send the data back to CRM. You can still do a send and all that, but it will not send it back. Okay, and I'll just show you. Let me try to get. No, that is the other. Hold on. Okay, so if we go into email, this is Marketing Cloud, by the way. Can you guys see the Marketing Cloud instance? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is the email studio part of Marketing Cloud. Okay, so in this, you will see like there's a lot of different types. This is the normal data extensions that you see, and there's something called Salesforce data extensions. So this is what gets created when when you are actually trying to bring in data from Salesforce. So how you can actually create some of it, you can actually go ahead and manually create that, but then you have to go ahead and then import the data from Salesforce after that. Another way of doing it directly is like if you go to here and you go and say I want to import data from Salesforce report. Okay, if I want to do that, easy way to do is like you can go ahead, name it, and then you can say under locations, I can choose Salesforce objects and reports. Okay, then I can either choose an object or a report. Okay, for instance, if I have a report that I've actually created for leads, so some test leads I've created a lead a report like that, and I've kept it. Okay, so if I choose that, automatically it will create that data extension for me. Okay, so these are the fields that are coming in, like from that report. The report has a lead ID, it has email opt-out. If I give additional fields on that lead in that report, those also will get populated. And then I can say, okay, I want all these fields to be imported into this data extension. Okay, I want this lead ID to be the primary key. Okay, and one thing you need to ensure is like you need to have email. If you're having email, if you have to make that an email address field, otherwise it does not make it a sendable data extension. Okay, for those who guys know the email studio, you know what sendable data extension is. If you don't make it as a email address field, you cannot. It does not become a sendable data extension. Okay, so you have to make it as a standard DE folder, and if you have a standard DE folder. So you have to make this as an email address, okay, in order for it to be considered as a sendable Salesforce data extension. Only then it will get created on the Salesforce DE folder. Okay, so when you do this, automatically you can go ahead and save the configuration. and then it'll give you the option to go ahead and then you want to add, update all this data in, and it'll create that data extension for you. Okay, so I've created one sample one here, and if I do and I click on start, it'll import that data from that report. Now, like I said, if we did not have the CRM connectivity, okay, you would not have seen that. Sorry, uh, the file I've lost. Sorry, 1 second. So this one, if you did not have the marketing cloud connectivity, you would not be able to see this data. So this is actually live data coming in from from CRM because of the marketing cloud connect. It shows me all the objects that are there in our CRM instance right now that are connected to. Okay, even reports. If I go and I actually search for all the reports, it will show me all the reports that are there in CRM right now. Okay, now you can see these are all different reports that are already created. Okay. So what happens then is it will go and create that particular data extension that I showed you earlier, Salesforce data extensions. If we had run that report, you would actually see it has 3 records, right? So if I go in, it'll say it actually imported that data from Salesforce. So like I said earlier, you see the lead ID. This becomes the subscriber key automatically. So if I try to send emails to these contacts, because I put my email here so that it doesn't get sent out to other people. Okay, and depending on certain conditions, I can actually send emails to all these 3 contacts. Ideally, this would be different people, right? So if I have 10 different leads coming in from CRM and I create the Salesforce data extension, I can send emails to all 10 of them from here. Okay, and then how I usually do it is I can go into content, bring up an email, and then I can choose the data extension. Okay, for instance, if I go into this email, go click on send, and when you select the audience, on the left you see here, you will see Salesforce data extension, right? So I can use this one, and then I can say add that to targeted. Okay, and then choose a publication list with that. So it's as easy as that. You can just easily use any of these Salesforce detection to send out emails to them. You will also see I can directly send email to Salesforce reports from here. Okay, I don't even have to create a data extension for that or import that. If I want, I can actually do that. But then for that, the advantage of having the Salesforce data extension already there is it will send the tracking data back to CRM. If I create it and send the email to Salesforce reports, it will go ahead and still create a dummy data extension under Salesforce data extension to track that data being sent back. Okay. The advantage of having the Salesforce data extension is it's already there. You can keep importing to it. You can have an automated job running every day to bring in report data from and updating that to that data extension. Okay. Salesforce campaigns are also there, so you can anyway go ahead and add that also if you want to add it to the targeted report. Okay, so let me go back to my presentation. So like I said earlier, the email address, you should actually specify that, otherwise it will not get created as a Salesforce data extension, and specify the lead or contact ID as the primary key. Okay. Now, synchronized data extension is a different type. Okay. Now, the one that I told you earlier is you are creating manually, the data extension to bring in the data from Salesforce, right? And it is not synced, meaning any data that is in Salesforce data extension is not synced automatically. Like anytime it changes in CRM, it will not be brought into Marketing Cloud. Synchronized data extension, on the other hand, is a synced data extension, meaning data is always synced between CRM and Marketing Cloud. Okay, and you cannot create it. You have to go and specify, which object you want to sync. You have to configure that. Then it automatically gets created by Marketing Cloud in your instance. Whenever there is a change in CRM, the data it automatically for that particular object or the field that you have chosen will get moved into or copied into Marketing Cloud. Okay, there is a polling that happens every 15 minutes or higher. If you depending on the settings that you do, it will bring in the data. Okay, let's see. Okay, for instance, for that one you have to go into Contact Builder. Okay, so this is Contact Builder. So under Contact Builder, you will go under Data Sources. And this is data sources is primarily where you can actually specify the various where you can bring in data from. Okay, So if you're having external systems, especially like CRM, you have to go under synchronized, and it will show you like have you actually synced with any external CRM system. So this is one CRM system that we have integrated with, which is our instance, and you'll say like right now 2 entities, meaning 2 objects have been you have synced already with 31 attributes. Okay, so if you click on that, it will show that I've already synced contact and campaign member. Okay, so if I want to see those, I can actually go in here. You'll see the two data extensions like campaign member underscore Salesforce and contact under Salesforce. The field counts are there. The contact has 18 contacts. The camp members doesn't have any campaigns campaign members right now, right? So these are two, both are mentioned over here. Now, how do I set up one? Like right now I have contact and campaign members, right? Let's say I want to bring in leads. Pretty simple. You just go ahead, click on that setup object. You can go select the object that you want to synchronize. Let's say we chose lead. Okay, it shows you all the required fields, that is it will automatically get selected. Any additional fields that you want to select, you can actually select. Okay, so we saw that lead ID, probably that is all selected, email is already selected, so those things we can keep. I'm just quickly going through here to see if any additional fields we need to select. First name, last name is good to have. Lead source we can keep, and phone. Okay, state, title, website, no. Okay, that's good. So once I have that, then the question comes here, like, okay, how often do you want to poll? So you can actually say every 15 minutes, bring in, like, poll the data and bring in, if there is any new data, bring it in. Okay, like 30 minutes or 1 hour, you can keep any of those. Okay, the next question is like, which all records do you want to bring in right now from the CRM, like every time, like, it's going all the records, or you want to, like, have records created at a specific date, or they based on a Boolean value, like, right now this is opted out of email equals something like that. Or if you want to bring, like, only for contact and lead record, you get this option, all records with an email address. For any other object that you try to bring in, you will not get this option. You will get only the other 3 options. Okay, so I want to now bring in all the leads which have an email address, because I want to send to them, right? So I want to, like, use that. If I go click and synchronize, it will go ahead and say, yep, it will do that. And it takes little time. It will say it's been added. It will take some time, and after a few like, maybe 15 minutes or so, you will see, like, the attributes have been synced, and the data has been synced back to our data extension. And here it will actually create a new one called lead underscore Salesforce. I don't think it will get created so fast. Let's see. Yeah, not yet. So it will take a little time, like, maybe we can check at it later, and then we'll see, like, how that data comes in, and then how many records have been brought in from the lead object in CRM into this. Now, what you would have found here is there is no create button here. Okay, you cannot go ahead and create a synchronized data extension. You can only create a data source in contact and tell it to sync the data from there, and depending upon the conditions that you have given and the data that is getting updated in CRM, the data will get populated here. Okay, so you cannot go ahead and automatically say, okay, create a new synchronized data extension and use that for your sends and all that. Okay, whereas Salesforce data extension, you can create, and you can actually specifically import Salesforce data into it using reports or any files that you need. Okay, let's continue with this one. Okay, one thing you need to know is the formula fields. So sometimes you might have formula fields in your object that you might be bringing, right? So because it is actually bringing in the sync data from CRM into marketing, it does not bring in the rules that you have configured on the object there, right? So it is just bringing the value from there. Now, if your formula field is, like, maybe a roll-up summary, or, like, is actually, like, getting some data from another object where, like, where because of some changes happening some other object, the data is getting reflected, you will not get the latest data. Like, you will not get the updated data every time, and that does not change the object as well. For instance, like, if there is another child object or something that which is actually getting changed, because of which the formula field will get changed. Unless and until the record is updated with some new value, it will not actually flow over into Marketing Cloud. So these things you need to keep in mind, when you look at getting data in from synchronized data extension. For multi-org, keep in mind, like I said earlier, if you have the same org being connected to two different business units, and if you're using the same user, it'll get replicated. Okay. And the polling frequency, you have to be careful, if it is 15 minutes and you have a large amount of data coming in, once the first poll comes in and then there is the next is not finished processing, then the second would have already started. So you need to space it out enough, so that it brings in the right amount of data. Okay. Okay, this one we've covered. Okay, now a couple of best practice, or a few best practices that we have for synchronized data extensions. So keep in mind, it's always synchronizing the data across the two systems, right? So when you are adding new fields, you have to first add it and add an update in sales and service in CRM first, and then you do the synchronization. Okay. And deleting is the other way around. You have to delete it first in our Marketing Cloud, in our synchronized data source, and then you go delete it in CRM. Okay. And if there is any refresh issue that you're facing, the data is not reflecting properly, there is actually a refresh option in this synchronized data source screen that we saw earlier. You can click on that. It will go ahead and refresh the data and bring in the data in from CRM. Okay. We saw these details. This screen is important, this table. This is actually a summary view of how you can use the different features in Marketing Cloud by data extension type. As you can see, the regular data extension is this one. Okay, it does not sync. That is the only thing it does not do, but everything else is supported by a normal data extension. Okay, in Marketing Cloud. Salesforce data extension again does not sync. You are creating it manually, and then importing data into it. It supports quite a few things, but one main thing about Salesforce data extension is it is not linked to the contact framework. Okay, meaning it does not link to the contact builder, the data extensions, mapping, and all that. Okay, what I mean by that is, if I go into here and the contact builder, if I go into data designer, you will see for our mapping here. Okay, so this is our CRM instance. You will see the data that we have brought in, right? This say synchronized data extension. This is actually now mapped. Okay, so you can see the lead also that we actually brought in. If it is there, the lead is also here. The contact and leads are here. So any object that I bring in from using the synchronized data extension and all that, it automatically gets mapped to the contact framework. But the Salesforce data extension will not get mapped to the contact builder. Okay, that is primarily used for sending. Okay, because of that, you will not be able to use that in Journey and all that. So because Journey and all that, it uses the contact builder data. Okay, synchronized data extension also, it actually maps to the contact builder, and you can use it in a JB decision, but you cannot directly use it in a Journey builder event source and all that. Okay. For that, you have to use a event SF event, a Salesforce data event, which I will show you shortly, or you have to copy or use a query activity or a filter activity on a synchronized data extension, and then create a normal data extension and then use that for in a Journey or sending emails. You cannot do it directly. You cannot send an email directly from synchronized data extension. So that is something you need to be very aware of. Okay. Any questions on this slide on the data extension ones? Especially people who have actually completed email. Do you guys understand, or did I go too fast? Okay, silence means good or bad?
Good.
Okay, I'll assume that for now. Okay, so a couple of other additional questions. So we always know that the price that we pay for Marketing Cloud is based on the number of contacts that we have in Marketing Cloud, right? So if we usually buy it with the number of contacts that we have to pay for it based on the number of contacts and the number of messages that we send out, right? So if you have Marketing Cloud Connect, we have data coming in from CRM also now. So that each CRM contact that is coming in will get added to that count, right? So definitely you will need to pay for those. But let's say you have multi-hour configuration and like you have the same contact being replicated across the BUs, right? So those will not get double counted or like multi-counted, okay? Because it looks at the contact key. So the same contact, if it is replicated in like 5 different BUs, it's still okay. Okay, it will only get counted once. So that is not a problem. But if the contact is coming through different contact keys, contact IDs, then there is a problem. Like each one will be counted separately. Okay. Time zone and all that. CRM, all the time zones are actually stored in the backend using UTC. In Marketing Cloud, we are using CST, right? So when the data is getting imported into Marketing Cloud and when you're storing it, it will get converted and stored as a CST level. Okay? So that is something you need to keep in mind when you're looking at, date fields, when you're using that for like, comparison and all that. Okay, so now let me quickly show you this one. Okay, so if I go into, this is our CRM instance. So this is the sandbox that I've connected to our Marketing Cloud instance. Okay, so once I've installed the package, the Marketing Cloud instance package and all that, how do I access it is if I come to the app launcher, you will see few an application that is actually item that is actually installed. Right? One is Marketing Cloud here. It doesn't use the marketing application. It is Marketing Cloud here. Email sends an individual email. So quite a few things it just actually installed. Okay? So Marketing Cloud, when you click on that, it takes you to a page. If it is properly configured, it takes you to this Visual Force page. Okay, so this is what I was telling you earlier. In CRM, sales users can actually go and do an email send like this. Okay, they can actually click on that one and they can go and then they can say, okay, which business unit am I connected to? Okay, show me an email. So from CRM, when I'm clicking, it is automatically going into Marketing Cloud and fetching the email for me. Okay, let me see if am I still logged into the other. Pretty slow.
Shibu, one doubt.
Yes.
So in order to connect to Marketing Cloud in CRM, do we need to log into Marketing Cloud also?
No, the first time is enough. Like once you have set up the connection, that is good to go. Sometimes it will ask, like sometimes it will, if when it's trying to do it, and from when you launch this page, it might ask you to log in. If it is, you have to just log in. That's all. Okay. So from here, if I click, I need to like find. Okay. So now it shows me content builder and all that. If I go and I select the particular email that I want, and then under report, I say I want to see the reports, and so this is CRM reports. Okay, so I've actually saved the earlier report under Marketing Cloud admin folder. Okay, I can select the report. Okay, so I have report and campaign. I can use any of those that I can send to. Okay, exclusions also, if I want to, I can exclude that. And then I can choose our email address, one of these people, or I can use the send classification as commercial. These are all coming from Marketing Cloud, by the way. Okay, and then I can say deduplicate if you want, and then immediately send. The main thing you need to notice is I have to certify that all the people have opted in. If it doesn't, it will not allow me to send the email. Okay, now if I send it, it actually will send this email to these 3 people that I showed you in this lead report. So these are the lead report I showed you earlier. So these 3 leads are there, and this is a report that I've created on the CRM side. So now because I've configured my email, it will go to my email. So what happens is if I go ahead and send, it will go ahead and then send this particular email to my Gmail ID. It will send it. The following fields must be selected. Email. Where is email? Oh, did not select. Okay.
Shibu, the recipient should also come from Marketing Cloud.
Which one?
The recipients.
No. When you say recipients, this one, right?
Yes.
No, recipe. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to send to a report or a campaign in CRM.
Okay.
Okay. So the target is always CRM, Salesforce data, CRM data, right? So what I'm saying is, like, let's say if I have that list of contacts or list of leads or any user that I can send an email to as a report or a campaign in CRM, like I've created here. Okay, I can use that in here itself, like, as a sales user, I can come into into CRM itself. I can open that marketing cloud link that I showed you earlier. It will open this page for me, and I can send an email. Now the good thing is, this email that I selected, right, the marketing cloud email, that I am not creating, that a marketing team is creating for me in the marketing cloud instance. So good thing is, I only will use their template, whatever they have created, but all the others I am actually driving, meaning the report I am creating as a sales user, right? And then I am choosing, like, okay, what is the way, who needs to be notified, all those things I can send, and I can send the email out. Okay, so basically I am marketing cloud email template, okay, to send to a target on the CRM side from within CRM.
Okay, so no need to have those contacts in marketing cloud.
Correct. It doesn't have to. But now what will happen is, because I send a marketing cloud email from there, what happens is it will now reflect in email. Okay, so let me see if it actually comes up. This is a different one. Wait. So under tracking, you should have seen that email if it has successfully gone out. Okay, so you will see the integration test that I did right now. It is scheduled. Okay, so once that gets sent out, you will see, like, a data extension, a temporary data extension for that will get created, because it has to send the tracking data back. Okay, so this is that the from when I sent that email, right? So this is what that send email will look like. The email sent. This is a custom object that was actually created as part of the marketing cloud package. Okay, so what happens is, anytime I do a send from here, okay, to the report that I sent, I will get the tracking data back from marketing cloud here. Okay, let me see if I have another email send already. Email sends. Slightly slow. Okay, so this was a previous email send that I had done. Let's see if I have data on this one. Might take some time to reflect. Tracking. So from the sales side, once that email has gone out, see it. Yeah, once that email has gone out on the marketing cloud side, you can actually confirm that here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so email has sent. It has sent one email, because I checked deduplicate customer, right? So it actually sent only one email out. And if I go in, it will actually show if that email was delivered and if it is opened or clicked. So this is what we usually track in marketing cloud, right? So everything is delivered, did not click, did not open. So this is the send activity, all the tracking you have done here. Now, if I go into data extension, let me see if that data has come. Not there. Okay, so here you will see this data extension that just got created today, right? So this actually is a temporary data extension that it will create, because it is now using that data that came in from Salesforce. Okay, and it is now using this one to send the tracking data back to CRM. Okay, three people were actually in that report, right? So those three records would have been published inside this data extension, and depending upon the send tracking data that it receives, it will send the data back to CRM. So these are the three that came in, as you can see. Okay. If I go back to here, after a certain period, it actually gets reflected. You will see the tracking data reflected here. So without even coming to Marketing Cloud, the sales user can automatically track, like, anything that they have sent out from CRM through email sends. They can actually, they can do email sends, and they can track the data, like, okay, did anybody open the email? See, you can see the tracking data is now populated, right? It will say how many people actually received and how many opened and all that. And this will get updated. Let's say, like, if I go and open that email on my side later on, this will actually move as opened as 1. Okay, then you will see this report actually getting updated. Okay, so this is all within CRM. You don't have to leave CRM. So that is a good thing about it. Like, sales people can directly do the email sends, everything from CRM without going into Marketing Cloud, and leverage Marketing Cloud emails for their emails. Okay. There is something called okay, before I move into that one, so let me go back to Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud, so I showed you earlier, like, how you can actually send emails from the content, right? So you can either select as a Salesforce data extension, as a report and campaign as well. Now there's something called Salesforce Sends. Okay, so this is Salesforce Send. So you can go ahead and create Salesforce, and it's same like how you create a user initiated or triggered. You can go ahead and create, and then say, okay, I want to, send out email. Okay, and then you can come here and specify the target. To specify name. Okay, test email. Okay, you can specify a target here. And the good thing about the Salesforce Send is, it actually, you can use a Salesforce report or a campaign. Okay, so if I use a report, I can go ahead and select any of the reports that I showed. The same thing like how we did the Salesforce data extension. It is actually connecting to Marketing Cloud. I can say, okay, go ahead and select a report in there, and then use that. Okay, if I don't want, I can select a campaign. I can say, show me all the campaigns that you have, and choose one of those. Okay, so it will choose like that. Okay. If you don't want that, if you want to use the Salesforce data extension that we created earlier, you can use that also, no problem. Okay, and if there's any shared ones, you can use. So this way, you can actually create a Salesforce send and keep it, and then you can use that in an automation. Okay, for instance, if I have a send email test, let me delete this out. Send email test is there. Okay, if I go into an automation, I can go ahead and then enter Automation Studio. I can do an email send, like, schedule that, and I can do it like every day. I can send out an Salesforce email send based on that. Okay, so click here. Where is Salesforce email? See, so this one. I can choose that particular email, and then schedule it to, like, happen every day or every week or a time period that I want. Okay. So that is how you can actually do like, for sales CRM data. Like, if you have a Salesforce detection or reporter campaign, if you want to automate sending out emails, you can do this as well. Okay. Let me go back. Okay, so this there one more way that you can actually do is this in Marketing Cloud Journey Builder, which we will look at after this section. Before that, I want to talk to you about triggered send. Okay, so now I showed you here in when I go to that email sends from Marketing Cloud. Where is that one? The one that I showed earlier, like, when I did the email sends from Marketing Cloud, meaning if I come here, I go to view all there and click Marketing Cloud, it will actually open the Marketing Cloud connector, and then it will show me the email send. So anytime a sales user wants to go ahead and then send out an email, they have to just come and click that link. It will open up the Marketing Cloud sends page. So this is that, see, launching Marketing Cloud connector, and it will launch up this Visualforce page. Okay, so from here I can select any email that I want. I can send it up. Another way to do it is, we as part of Marketing Cloud connection, we will customize that. So under the lead, this is a lead. Okay, and this is a guy lead. You will see here there is a link called send Marketing Cloud email. I can click on this also. It will take me to the same page with that person's data populated. Okay, so I can use that directly from here also. I can go ahead and use that data and send him a marketing cloud email for that. Okay. So you will see his lead is already populated. I can just choose an email and send it out immediately. Okay. So that is also possible. Now, one thing that here, when you go to the emails, and you will see something, you can use it for A/B testing. Okay, you can even use it for triggered sends. Okay, triggered send is a slightly thing where you have to go and create it for a specific object. Okay, so usually it will be lead or contact, but you can specify like saying that what the triggered send actually looks for is like whenever that particular object is created or updated, depending on any of these conditions, you want this to be fired. Okay, so for contact, if a new contact is created every time and you want an email to be sent to that person, or to a particular data extension, or to be used, you have to use triggered data extension, by the way. You guys remember, like when we did, when we are doing triggered sense, I was teaching you guys how to use triggered data extension. So you have to use that triggered data extension, and then you can specify the emails and all that, and then save this, and it will automatically send that email out when this particular condition is satisfied. Okay, so here I've actually created for a new lead, right? So this actually gets saved in CRM. Okay, and one thing that happens is, you have to go ahead and activate that particular trigger. It's just like how you would have your process builder or flow, you create and you activate it. Same thing, you have to create this lead and then you have to activate that process in here. Okay, it's not activated, so when you click activate, it will activate. And then one thing you need to add in, you have to add this code in the trigger of that particular object. So if I've created it for a contact, I have to go on the contact object, and in the trigger for after insert and after update, I have to add this particular code in there. Only then, when a new record is created or updated or whatever that is, it will actually trigger this particular one and the email will go out for it. Okay? So this is an additional functionality that Marketing Cloud has provided for us. Okay? Journey builder, like I said, this is the last section that we will look into. So whatever we talk so far is the different ways of how you can actually use Salesforce data brought into Marketing Cloud, and how you can actually send emails to reports, contacts, to data extensions like Salesforce data extensions. If you bring in synchronized data extension, you should be able to filter that and then use that in a DE, and then you can send emails and out. Okay. Now, what if I want to directly use the data from Salesforce in a journey? Okay, so we know that the synchronized data extension and a Salesforce data extension you cannot use in a journey builder. Okay, it is not possible. So then, what can you do? For that, what they have actually given us is something called as a Salesforce data entry event. Okay, so if I go to Automation Studio, sorry, Journey Builder. I'll create a new journey multi-step one. Okay, so you see here the different entry sources. So you'll see here one called Salesforce data. Okay, so what this actually does is it has three types that will get data for you. Okay, one is it is coming directly from a campaign. Okay, you can go ahead and select that, and you can select a campaign. Or let's say you have a community. So if you have a community in your CRM instance, or you are connecting to a community cloud instance, like automatically from there you can choose that. So whenever, let's say, somebody registers in your community, you want that person to be automatically injected into a journey. So this particular use case can help you for that. Okay. For, let's say, for any other use cases, so these two are very simple use cases that they have already given. But for any other event, like a contact or a lead or any other user that is getting created or any object, you want to bring in the data from Salesforce, then you use Salesforce data. So for that, you have to go select the object. Okay, so in here you have to select the particular object. So in the contact, then the question is, within contact, what is the ID of the person you want to inject into the journey? Most case it will be the contact ID. So you will say, okay, this is the contact ID that I want to inject into the journey. And whenever a contact is created, okay, or let's say If you want this person to be injected every time, like he is updated based on some criteria, like when status changes or something, you can use that as well. Okay, so I'm just saying, like whenever he is created, and then any filter criteria, right? If I have any filter criteria that I need to check, I can use this. Let's say checking where is master record contact. Okay, so if I put email, sorry, not email, back. Email opt out equals false. Okay, meaning the person should not have opted out of email. Like that means he is still opted in. So only those contacts I want. Okay, and so that because I want to send inject them into a journey. That is the case, I can add this filter. If I don't need to add a filter, I don't have to specify this. I can just go ahead with next. Okay, and then I want to add in what all fields do you want to bring in. Okay, so right now it has contact ID, email, and opt-in. But if I want to bring in any additional data, so let's say I want to bring in the first name, last name, then I can go ahead and specify that. Okay, and then let's say if there is any account, because any related object also I can bring in. So I can bring in the account ID and the account name as well. So those data also you can see. Okay, and then I can go, and this will show you a summary of it. And then if I click done, it will actually create that entry event for me. Okay, so based on this, I can go ahead and I can actually once a particular contact is every time is created, okay, that data will get pushed into this particular journey, and then you can start sending emails to that, get them based on the way that they are actually, let's say it's a welcome thing, right? You can actually then depending on how they engage, you can split them into journeys, etc. Now sometimes you want to update data back, like I said earlier. So this is the way that you do it. So under activities, you have something here under sales and service cloud. So let's say for instance, if I go back to the journey dashboard, let me save this. Still saving. Okay. Any questions on the entry event? It's just taking a few minutes to go to the other one. Okay, just quit. So let's say if I go to another one here, an example. So this is a bigger one that we just created recently. So let's say a contact is coming in, and depending upon the way that he is actually engaging with us, we send him a welcome email. If the person actually opens the email, then we'll actually, depending upon his tier, we will actually give him a different type of email with a coupon and all that, and then we will update the customer data, okay, and then send him across, right? So if he's actually not sending any taking any opening any emails, we can actually come here and then we can say create a task for the sales rep to contact the customer. So as you see here, this is actually an activity on in the sales and service cloud area, right? So if I'm having an unengaged customer, I can actually go ahead and create an event for that particular on the CRM side. So in case this was a Salesforce data once, like for that particular contact, I can go ahead and create a task for a sales rep, automatically, and say can you please reach out to this particular customer and see if you can re-engage them. Or if I want to create, let's say somebody has engaged with you, you want to create an opportunity for that person. Or if it is a service, so there was some issue that they encountered, you want to create a case for that particular person. So all this is possible. If you use object activity, you can actually create it any custom object as well. So it's pretty powerful that you can use any of these things in a particular journey. Okay. These things we covered. Yeah, and so one thing I used to mention is when you create that Salesforce data extension, like I said earlier, the Salesforce data event, it will create a data extension for you in the root folder. Okay, remember where I say in the contact data extensions, it will actually create the journey builder data extensions there. So as you can see here, for journeys, depending upon the journeys that you have created, it will create a journey data extension. So you will see one for Salesforce data, the journey, you will see a data extension getting created with all those data that is being used for the journey. Okay, we talked about activities, and when you configure it, you have to give in the action, basically like depending upon like create new record. Sorry, it will either create a new record or find and update an existing record of that particular object that you have selected. For instance, if it's a case, opportunity, lead, whatever it is, and the field mapping, like depending upon what values you want to give. Primarily, what I wanted to cover, I know it went over time, so it was quite a lot to take in. Any questions on what we covered so far?